Strait of Hormuz is the centerpiece of war and peace in the world right now. Donald Trump is moving to Beijing and everybody is looking at this summit. But this Strait of Hormuz, which was relatively unknown to general public, has become a household name. We want to fix our analytical gaze on Strait of Hormuz and what it means to the world as we see it unfold right in front of our eyes, unpredictable, chaotic. But let's start with defining what Strait of Hormuz is. To Beirut, where a report is ready with Leticia Castro.
Thank you, Talat. We're talking about 33 kilometers. That is all that separates the Arabian Peninsula from Iran. And that narrow strip of water, like you mentioned, that many didn't know about, the Strait of Hormuz is the jugular of the global economy. Close it, and oil prices spike. Trade stalls and economies from Karachi to Tokyo feel the pressure within days. When it shut down during the US-Iran war, it wasn't a regional problem, it was everybody's problem. And that's why everybody is now talking about it. Sahil Murlimengani explains.
By now, you would have seen enough about the Strait of Hormuz, but what you're going to watch on the show now is something special because we'll explain to you in easy-to-understand language and with the help of animation why it's so critical and why Iran is a tough power to mess with. Because one of its big strengths is its location. That already provides Iran powerful leverage right there. With the Strait of Hormuz now closed, and pressure mounting at the second economic checkpoint, which is Bab al-Mandeb. Add to that, a US naval blockade now coming into the picture. Your wallet is set to feel even more pressure over the next few days, much more than what it is feeling now, because these are not ordinary sea routes. They are critical economic choke points for the world. The Strait of Hormuz, for that matter, is just 21 miles wide, yet 30% of the world's oil supply, that's 20 million barrels every day transported by the sea, pass through it. In addition, LNG shipments that help supply energy to Europe also travel through this corridor. That LNG keeps cars moving, airplanes flying, and factories operating worldwide. That's the reason why you're seeing flight rates blasting through the roof and worldwide cancellations. Now here, as you can see, because tanker traffic right there is so concentrated, vessels passing through this become relatively easy targets for drones and missiles coming in from Iran. And it's not that it hasn't happened before. It did happen in the past. Look, during the tanker war of 1988 and once again in 2019, those attacks happened, and even limited attacks on those shipments sent oil prices soaring. But there is a second strategic choke point that we spoke about. Let's tell you more about that. Bab al-Mandeb right there. This passage controls entry to the Red Sea and then onwards to the Suez Canal. 30% of the world's container shipping moves through this corridor. Even this came under attack. In 2023, attacks in this very same region reduced shipping traffic by almost 70%, leading to massive hikes in cost. Now, to make this equation worse, the US Navy is carrying out its own naval blockade right here. The US has defined this red line as an exclusion line. This line we are seeing on the sea, it's like an imaginary dividing line between the Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Oman. Ships from Iran or those affiliated with Iran are prohibited from crossing the red line. They are being turned back by the US Navy. What we are seeing here, these blue boats, are the US naval assets. They include aircraft carriers, destroyers, a submarine, and 6 ships specialized in mine clearance. Now imagine, in addition to these blockades that we spoke about, if Bab al-Mandeb also gets shut down, oil prices would surge further, inflation would climb even higher, and global trade would slow down like you have never seen before. This is where Iran's real leverage lies, and the impact, as you are seeing, never remains limited to the region. It would be felt across the world. It is being already felt across the world, but the impact if such blockades continue, will be unimaginable.
Indeed, it is affecting us all. Thank you so much, Sahil. We want to go back to you in Lahore, Talat, to further discuss the current situation and, of course, how this is shifting not only the Middle East, but South Asia as well.
Thank you very much. This is a great setting for our debate. We have guests from Geneva, we have guests from New York and Tehran. Let me introduce them to you, and we want to look at Strait of Hormuz, which really is not straight anymore. It's a bit of a tangle in which the whole world's peace and war prospects are caught up. Ahmed Fatih from New York, Global Affairs Analyst and Managing Director of American Television News. Thank you very much for being with us. We have Ali Wez, who is an Iranian American analyst, Director of the Iran Project at the International Crisis Group. He's joining us from Geneva. And from Tehran, we welcome Talat Hussain, a journalist. Thank you very much, all three of you. Starting with you, Mr. Fatih, if I were to use Tim Marshall's or borrow Tim Marshall's book title, is the world prisoner of geography, let's say prisoner of Strait of Hormuz at this point in time?
Yes, the world is a prisoner of geography. The world is a prisoner of Hormuz. The world is a prisoner of the geopolitical system that's in place in the world. We are not. We live in a world that we have many variables that would be taken into account when speaking about the condition of the world. Hormuz have its significance, of course, the energy. This is the bloodline for any industrial economy. 90% of Japan's energy imports comes from this region and uses the Strait of Hormuz, which is now disrupted. South Korea isn't the same. China, while it buys almost 80 to 90% of Iranian oil, before the blockade, I don't think that they had a problem in getting their tankers across the Strait of Hormuz without any harassment or intimidation from the IRGC. But still, Europe depends on not just oil, also liquefied natural gas, which is a major now source for conversion on power stations to accommodate the resilience steps needed with climate change. So it is very precarious situation, and we have nothing to do at this stage but watch and anticipate what will the upcoming President Trump and President Xi Jinping summit in Beijing will bring.
All eyes on them, Ahmed, all eyes on them. But let me bring in Ali Wez at this point. Ali, this world has known the term geopolitics for a very long time. I mean, we grew up reading about geopolitics, and we knew about the importance of geography. So what did the world didn't understand? Specifically, what did the Americans didn't understand about the diktat of geography? Did they misread this bottleneck's importance? Was this not part of their plan, or was this the plan really?
It's good to be with you. Yes, you're right. Look, this is something that geography had granted Iran, but Iran had never used until this point. So it had never used it. It was always part of wargaming in the United States that there is the possibility that Iran might try to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz. In the run-up to this conflict, Iranians, in fact, did even do exercises, military exercises, and announced that if they are attacked, they will close down the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. underestimated this not because the military didn't understand the risk, but because the president deliberately, and coming out of the Venezuela episode with a hot hand, with the very stunning success at a very low cost in Venezuela, he thought by decapitating the Iranian system, they would surrender before they would even get a chance to close down the strait. Or if they would do so, they would back off with threats of U.S. military escalation. Both of those calculations have proven to be incorrect. And in fact, in the process of trying to prevent Iran from developing a weapon of mass destruction, the United States ended up granting it a weapon of mass disruption.
Okay, John, if I could ask you, what is the assessment of Iranian capability to keep using the Strait of Hormuz as a card? I mean, is this a permanent card that they believe they have in their hand to negotiate with the world, or is it a card of huge strategic significance but with a shelf life date on it?
Thank you so much, Mr. Talat, for inviting me. As Mr. Weiss correctly pointed out, the nuclear weapon could not be given to Iran, but Iran instead took Hormuz, which it sees now as a permanent solution to all of the leverage that the United States has had over Iran. And now the Iranians are trying to establish a Persian Gulf Strait Authority. They've already launched it. And under the new authority, they will exercise the right of the Geneva Convention 1952, where they will control the Strait of Hormuz within their territorial waters, and of course with the collaboration of the Oman authorities. And Iran plans to take tolls. Iran plans to keep this area in control to ensure that safe passage is given not only for the others, but also to protect the Iranian sovereignty. So I think this is a permanent shift rather than a temporary control, because Iran does not have any confidence in the United States that if an agreement is reached, then the United States will uphold its agreements or will abide by the agreements that it makes.